Welcome back to the Abby Cakes YouTube channel. Today we are going to be talking about 10 tips for delivering cakes. We deliver a ton of cakes here. I would say probably anywhere from like 4 to 10 per week. So we have a lot of experience with it, and it's something that is really important because you work so hard on a cake, it's gotta get to where it needs to go. So my very first tip is to cool your vehicle. I think no matter where you live or what time of the year it is, it's just a good rule of thumb to cool your car. Even in January, February here when it's nice and cool, I will still turn my car on for 10 to 15 minutes and make sure that the entire vehicle is cool. Number 2 is making sure that you have a flat and level surface in the back of your vehicle to have a transporter or your cake if you don't have a transporter. In my particular vehicle, I actually do have a little bit of a slant, and it's kind of like this. So I have been able to pull up the mat a little bit and stick some cardboard in there to level it out as much as I can. And it's just because any, bump or hitting your brakes, if you're in an emergency or whatnot, could really send your cake one way or the other if it is at an angle. So having a really flat level surface is very important. The third tip is ice packs. I recently invested in some bigger ice packs than what I had. I used to have the little cool packs that were tiny, and it really wasn't doing the trick. It was a very hot summer in Arizona, and so something like this is very necessary. Always make sure that you chill these at least 24 hours prior, that way they are ready to go. I have 3 available and on hand at all times, and pretty much one goes in every transport that I use, depending on how far I'm going. Sometimes there's 2. So my 4th tip, which is the most obvious one here, is having an insulated transporter and cooler if you can. This is specifically designed for cakes, and I actually think it's fairly reasonable. There are some other ones on the market that are, 4 times the price of this one, but I have had my transporters for probably 4 or 5 years, and they've never failed me. Let's open it up and just take a quick look. It is insulated, and the ice packs are actually meant to go on the sides here, but I prefer to put them inside the box, and I'll show you. Just open it up. All right. So I always like to place a non-slip mat in here. All right, so this leads me to the next tip. Your cake, which we have a styrofoam cake here, needs to be sitting in a box that matches exactly the size of the cake drum that it's sitting on, so that everything is snug and secure. So I generally take my cake, put it in here, and I really use whatever I have on hand to make sure that there's no space in between here. So I will put my ice pack in, just like that. And then honestly, I take whatever I have available. So you can use a pack of foil, like heavy duty foil. I like this. It's just a pack of our piping bags that we have, but it's really heavy and it fits perfectly here so that nothing moves. If I wanted, I could put my Ziploc here in between the ice pack, just like that. And this is pretty common. Like, I do this almost every trip just to make sure nothing moves around and nothing is shifting and it's as secure as it can be. So do that, close it up. I've never actually taken the temperature of the insulated cooler when I've arrived at a venue or wherever I'm dropping off and delivering to, but every time I open it up, it's super cool, and it just brings me so much relief when I'm delivering to know that this is super chilled, my cake is chilled, and it's all in one piece. So my 6th tip is to drive slow. That kind of goes without saying, but seriously, drive very carefully, and if you can, get your hands on a cake on board magnet. I have been in many scenarios. Almost every time I deliver and I don't have the cake on board magnet, someone honks at me because I drive so slow. Even if I put my hazards on and I'm turning, someone always is honking and yelling and screaming because I'm going so slow. But if you put the cake on board, I feel like most of the time people look at it and they're not honking. So drive slow and get your hands on a magnet if you can. My next tip, and I think this is probably the most important one, is to make sure that your cake is well supported and chilled. Obviously, this is a nice tool to have and aids in the delivery, but if your cake is not well supported, there's not a center dowel going through a 3-tier cake to make sure that tiers aren't sliding, this is kind of a moot point. And the cake has to be chilled before you deliver. So our refrigerator here is in the low 30s. Sometimes when we're working on like 20 cakes in a weekend, you know, that fridge is opening and closing many, many times and the temperature shifts up. I will actually move whichever cake I'm going to deliver next into another fridge that we have that's much cooler and in the 30s. So cake has to be supported and chilled. The next tip I have is to bring a toolkit with you on every delivery. I don't go anywhere without this because you never know what might happen. So in my toolbox, I always have a pair of wire cutters or flower cutters. Going along with this, I always have floral tape with me. I always take a bag of buttercream in case I need to fix something, touch up an edge, cover up a spot, or what have you. Just kind of make it specific. This box should be specific to what you are delivering. Along with the buttercream, I always take an offset spatula and my little box of scrapers. I love these. They are good for really touching things up like edges, and you know, I have had before where I remove a 3-tier cake from here and my little top up here slipped and my top edge hit this little flap. So I have to go and I have to fix that, and these scrapers are perfect for that, and it fits in my box as opposed to having a really big cake scraper. So I love these and I take them everywhere with me. I always have gloves because, you know, hygiene, sanitation, you never know what you're gonna have to do. So I always keep those in there. And then I always take toothpicks and dowels. I've had many times where I get to a venue and deliver a cake and the couple hasn't let me know that they bought this really ornate, heavy cake topper. And so this is the support for that so that a heavy cake topper doesn't sink into a tier. So I think that's it for my toolbox. Like I said, whatever cake you're delivering, whatever decor you have on there, if I had sugar paste flowers, I would definitely have backup sugar paste flowers with me. Yeah, so just specific to your cake design and what you might need. So my 9th tip is to bring a second person if you can. I rarely deliver a cake without a second person with me. If I do, it's usually just a single tier cake into a venue very close by, but I love to have a second person because you can definitely do it alone, but it's nice to have an extra set of hands to open this for you, hold the flap up when you're taking the cake out, shut the trunk when you get your cake out, open the door, walk it in, hold the stand for you. Definitely you could ask another person at the delivery site to help you, but it's nice to have a second person with you. And maybe if you have to touch up the cake, there's just another person to lend a hand. And then my last tip is to relax. Cakes are really durable and sturdy. If they're chilled and they're well supported, they do very well in transport. Oftentimes I deliver about 2 hours away. Not all the time, but I do, especially in wedding season. And honestly, I haven't really had any problems with my buttercream cakes as long as they're chilled, supported, and in this cooler with an ice pack. They made it all in one piece, no problems, no touch-up necessary. So it's nerve-wracking delivering a cake, especially a 3-tier cake to a wedding, but just know that if you've done everything you can to support the cake, it's going to be okay. So just try to relax. And don't forget to take photos. You know, all of your hard work, you want to make sure you capture that and share it with everybody, especially going on a 2-hour delivery. If you have any other tips or tricks for delivering cakes, please let us know. Leave a comment below. If you have any questions, please let us know, and don't forget to like and subscribe.